Hello, my name is Scott Turner and welcome back to my channel Forming Industrious. In this video I'll show you how I went about making a simple folder. This is not a pan brake, it's a basic folder where you can do two parallel bends, make a Z, type like a gutter, like what I've just showed there. To make it a pan brake, to make a box with four bends, four opposite sides, you would just need to make some simple adaptations, and I'll show that at the video's end. So this metal folder has three major parts, being the stationary bed, and that's made out of 100 by 75 by 8mm steel, and then the clamping bar, and that's made out of 40 by 40 by 5mm out of two pieces. I welded those together, and then the bending arm is a single piece of 50 by 50 by 5mm steel. Then you need some miscellaneous materials like springs. I got those from a washing machine, hope my wife doesn't mind. Some threaded rod, in this case 16mm M16, and some nuts, and some tube section for the handles for the bending bar. So right here I'm making the hinges, and I'm just difficult. I like to make these things. Of course you can go out and buy these from your hardware store. For cutting of steel in my workshop, I like to use my metal bandsaw. It's a lot quieter than using the drop saw, the friction saws, the grinders with cut-off wheels, and it's just a bit better for when you've got neighbours around. Though sometimes you do have to use the grinder, simply because the piece of metal is just too big to fit in the saw or too awkward. The reality is, however, the next door neighbours have probably just got used to the noisy bugger in the shed next door. I love these rotary cutters, better than twist drills. They're obviously the bigger sizes than that, but they cut through the steel like butter. I love them. They're great. So these are most of the pieces cut out now for the folder, all laid out there, now getting ready to weld it all up. So this part of the build I really stuffed up on. That's the bending arm, and it's made out of 3mm steel. I think it's 50 by 50, and because it's light gauge, I decided to strengthen it by using those triangular gussets, and really I overcompensated, over-engineered it, and it got a bit of warpage when I started welding, and I decided to do away with it in the end. You'll see it coming up. Little bit of confession time. Now, as I've welded these joints up, the hinges yesterday afternoon, they were slightly misaligned, and I put the handles on to try and lift it up, and it cracked this weld off. And now I can see why, because the hinges aren't perfectly parallel. I thought they were parallel because they were sitting in this plane, but they're obviously not. So I need to grind this weld off here and fix that up. One of the other little problems I have, this is such a thin material, it's 3mm steel angle, and that's about, I don't know, about 6 mil, that's very, very heavy. I did put these little triangle braces in. It's the amount of flex, I'm hoping you can see that in the video, amount of flex, and you want to be able to pull that up nice and evenly. So what I'll do to counter that problem, once I get this handle out, just put a bit of flat bar on here to make it like a torsion box. I'll weld it on, and that'll stiffen everything right up. I am such a goose. Just notice a little bit of bend coming in here, so I've got to try and counteract that bend. I'm going to try and put some tacks to shrink the surface and try and counteract the welding that I'm doing down the sides here is causing a bit of heat distortion. Up at this end, up here is a bit of it's dipping away a little bit, and I've got to try and fix that up. Alright, I've relented. I'm going to change materials. I'm going to use this heavier gauge steel. This one's just too light. I tried to compensate for its lightness by beefing it up with gussets, and that's not working. So I'm gonna change over to using this heavier gauge for the bending arm. So I need some clearance. I use this 2-part polyurethane because its durability, it's far stronger, far harder than the acrylic paints, which would easily scratch, and I brush painted. Unfortunately, I don't have a setup for spray painting. I need some extraction system for that, and I don't have that yet, but in time I will. So I've left this hole at the lower side here pretty sloppy, so this top plate can move. So like we see, when you get a piece of steel, so that's 3mm thick, and that's only about less than 1mm thick, this one here. You need to be able to compensate for the thickness of the material, so this allows you to move it in and out. When you've got the spot that you want, you just tighten it up to that spot on both sides evenly, and then you just bend it up, and that seems to work really good. Now, I said at the beginning of the video that this is just a basic metal folder, not a pan brake where you can make boxes. Now that's true. Now you can make some modifications to this basic folder so that you can make a box. In this part of the video I'm just demonstrating just exactly that. Now I left the threaded bolts or the threaded rod long enough so I can raise the top clamping bar and high enough to clear a side. You see the sides of the box that I'm making right there. I'll put in a bit of plywood and some spacer bits of timber there. Now that's clamping down. Now I can bend it up on that particular angle to form that side of the box. And so therefore you can make boxes with this style of metal folder, this basic metal folder. And in this case here, I'm just bending up some scrap 1mm mild steel from an old sheet that I had, and I'll take it over and weld it up, and then clean up the welds with the grinder, and that's it. So appreciate everyone for hanging about and watching, and let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. I'll talk to you soon, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.